Sister Rosetta Tharpe was an American singer, songwriter, guitarist and recording artist. A pioneer of 20th-century music, Tharpe attained popularity in the 1930s and 1940s with her gospel recordings that were a unique mixture of spiritual lyrics and rhythmic early rock accompaniment. She became gospel music's first crossover artist and its first great recording star, referred to later as the original soul sister, and the godmother of rock and roll. She was an early influence on figures such as Little Richard, Johnny Cash, Elvis Presley and Jerry Lee Lewis. Willing to cross the line between sacred and secular by performing her music of light in the darkness of the nightclubs and concert halls with big bands behind her, Tharpe pushed spiritual music into the mainstream and helped pioneer the rise of pop-Euro gospel beginning with her 1939 hit This Train. Her unique music left a lasting mark on more conventional gospel artists such as Ira Tucker, of the Dixie Hummingbirds. While she offended some conservative churchgoers with her forays into the pop world, she never left gospel music. Tharpe's 1944 hit Down by the Riverside was selected for the American Library of Congress National Recording Registry in 2004, with the citation stating that it captured her spirited guitar playing and unique vocal style, which were an influence on early rhythm and blues performers, as well as gospel, jazz, and rock artists. Her 1945 hit Strange Things Happening Every Day, recorded in late 1944, featured Tharpe's vocals and electric guitar, with Sammy Price, bass and drums. It was the first gospel record to cross over, hitting number 2 on the Billboard Race Records chart, the term then used for what later became the R&B chart, in April 1945. The recording has been cited as an important precursor of rock and roll. Tharpe has been called the godmother of rock and roll. Childhood and early career: she was born Rosetta Newben in Cotton Plant, Arkansas, United States, to parents Katie Bell Newben and Willis Atkins, who were cotton pickers. Little is known of her father, although it is known that he was a singer. Tharpe's mother, Katie Bell Newben, was a singer, mandolin player, evangelist and preacher for the Church of God in Christ, which was founded by a Black Baptist bishop named Charles Mason in 1894, who encouraged rhythmic musical expression, dancing and praise and allowing women to preach in church. With the encouragement of her mother, Tharpe began singing and playing the guitar as little Rosetta Newben from the age of 4 and was cited as a musical prodigy. By age 6, Tharpe had joined her mother as a regular performer in a traveling evangelical troupe. Billed as a singing and guitar-playing miracle, Tharpe accompanied her mother in hybrid performances Euro part sermon, part gospel concerti Euro before audiences all across the American South. In the mid-1920s, Tharpe and her mother settled in Chicago, Illinois, where the duo continued to perform religious concerts at the COGIC Church on 40th Street while occasionally traveling to perform at church conventions throughout the country. As a result, Tharpe developed considerable fame as a musical prodigy, standing out in an era when prominent black female guitarists remained very rare. In 1934, at the age of 19, Rosetta Tharpe married a COGIC preacher named Thomas Thorpe, who had accompanied her and her mother on many of their tours. Although the marriage only lasted a short time, she decided to incorporate a version of her first husband's surname into her stage name, Sister Rosetta Tharpe, which she would use for the rest of her career. In 1938, Tharpe left her husband, and with her mother, moved to New York City. Although she had more than one marriage, she performed under the name of Tharpe for the rest of her life. Recording career: on October 31, 1938, at age 23, Tharpe recorded for the first time a Euro 4 sides with Decca Records backed by Lucky Millander's Jazz Orchestra. The first gospel songs ever recorded by Decca, Rock Me, That's All, My Man and I, and The Lonesome Road became instant hits, establishing Tharpe as an overnight sensation and one of the first commercially successful gospel recording artists. She had signed a 7-year contract with Reminder and was managed by Mogalai. Her records caused an immediate furor. Many churchgoers were shocked by the mixture of gospel-based lyrics and secular-sounding music, but secular audiences loved them. Tharpe's appearances with jazz artist Cab Calloway at Harlem's Cotton Club in October 1938 and in John Hammond's Spirituals to Swing concert at Carnegie Hall on December 23, 1938, gained her even more fame, along with notoriety. These performances, which both shocked and awed the crowds, were controversial as well as revolutionary in several respects. Performing gospel music in front of secular, nightclub audiences and alongside blues, jazz musicians and dancers was highly unusual, and within conservative religious circles the mere fact of a woman performing guitar music, particularly in those settings, was frowned upon. For these reasons, Tharpe was often falling out of favor with segments within the gospel community. Other late 1930s hits, such as her self-penned This Train, and Rock Me, which combined gospel themes with bouncy up-tempo arrangements, continued to become hits among audiences with little previous exposure to gospel music. It has been suggested Tharpe had little choice in the material she was contracted to record with Millender. Rosetta and Millender were increasingly at odds in 1943, as Rosetta itched to quit the big band circuit and renew her career as a strictly gospel act. As Roxy Moore remembers, she hadn't wanted to do light fare poking fun at old-time religion or worldly material like Tall Skinny Papa, but found herself bound by contractual obligations. Her nightclub performances initially led to her being ostracized by some in the gospel community, as she would sometimes be required to sing her gospel songs amid scantily clad showgirls. She played on a number of occasions with the white singing group the Jordanaires. Tharpe continued recording during World War II, one of only two gospel artists able to record V-discs for troops overseas. Her song Strange Things Happening Every Day, recorded in 1944 with Sammy Price, Decca's house boogie-woogie pianist, showcased her virtuosity as a guitarist and her witty lyrics and delivery. It was the first gospel song to make Billboard's Harlem Hit Parade Top 10. This achievement was something that sister Rosetta Tharpe accomplished several more times in her career. This 1944 record has been credited by some as being the first rock and roll record. Tharpe toured throughout the 1940s, backed by various gospel quartets, including the Dixie Hummingbirds. In 1946 Tharpe saw Marie Knight perform at a Mahalia Jackson concert in New York. Tharpe recognized a special talent in Knight. 2 weeks later, Tharpe showed up at Knight's doorstep, inviting her to go on the road. They toured the gospel circuit for a number of years, during which they recorded hits such as Up Above My Head, and Gospel Train. Tharpe was so popular that she attracted 25,000 paying customers to her wedding to her manager Russell Morrison, followed by a vocal performance, at Griffith Stadium in Washington, D.C. In 1951. Their popularity took a sudden downturn, however, when they recorded several blues songs in the early 1950s. Knight attempted afterward to cross over to popular music, while Tharpe remained in the church, but rebuffed by many of her former fans. In 1957, Tharpe was booked for a month-long tour of the UK by British trombonist Chris Barber. In May 1964, at the height of a surge of popular interest in the blues, she toured Europe as part of the Blues and Gospel Caravan, alongside Muddy Waters and Otis Spann, Ransom Knolling and Little Willie Smith, Reverend Gary Davis, Cousin Joe, and Sonny Terry and Brownie McKee. Tharpe was introduced on stage and accompanied on piano by Cousin Joe Pleasant. Under the auspices of George Wayne, the caravan was stage-managed by Joe Boyd. A concert, In the Rain, was recorded by Granada Television at the disused railway station at Wilbraham Road, Manchester in May 1964. The band performed on one platform while the audience members were seated on the opposite platform. Later Life and Death, Tharpe's performances were curtailed by a stroke in 1970, after which he had a leg amputated as a result of complications from diabetes. On October 9, 1973, the eve of a scheduled recording session, she died in Philadelphia as a result of another stroke. She was buried in Northwood Cemetery in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Later recognition, a resurgence of interest in Tharpe's work has led to a biography, several NPR segments, scholarly articles, and honors. The United States Postal Service issued a 32-cent commemorative stamp to honor Tharpe on July 15, 1998. In 2007, she was inducted posthumously into the Blues Hall of Fame. In 2008, a concert was held to raise funds for a marker for her grave, and January 11 was declared Sister Rosetta Tharpe Day in Pennsylvania. A gravestone was put in place later that year, and a Pennsylvania historical marker was approved for placement at her home in the Yorktown neighborhood of Philadelphia. The PBS series American Masters featured her story in the opening program of their 2013 season. BBC 4 aired an hour-long documentary by Mick Zarky, the godmother of rock and roll, Sister Rosetta Tharpe, on March 20, 2015. Musical influence. Musically, Tharpe's unique guitar style blended melody-driven urban blues with traditional folk arrangements and incorporated a pulsating swing sound that is one of the first clear precursors of rock and roll. Little Richard referred to the stomping, shouting, gospel music performer as his favorite singer when he was a child. In 1945, she heard Richard sing prior to her concert at the Macon City Auditorium and later invited him on stage to sing with her. It was Richard's first public performance outside of the church. Following the show, she paid him for his performance, which inspired him to become a performer. When Johnny Cash gave his induction speech at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, he referred to Tharpe as his favorite singer when he was a child. His daughter Roseanne similarly stated in an interview with Larry King that Tharpe was her father's favorite singer. Tharpe began recording with electric guitar in the 1940s, with That's All, which is cited to have been an influence on Chuck Berry and Elvis Presley. A number of other musicians, including Aretha Franklin, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Isaac Hayes have identified her singing, guitar playing, and showmanship as an important influence on them. She was held in particularly high esteem by UK jazz blues singer George Melly. Tina Turner credits Rosetta Tharpe besides Mahalia Jackson as an early musical influence on her. Performers including Meat Loaf, Neil Sedaka and Karen Carpenter have attested that Tharpe influenced their diverse styles through the rhythmic energy she emanated in her performances, especially the Charlton chug riffs. Even today, artists such as Shawn Michelle have credited her influence with the performance of gospel songs in more secular venues. Brixton band Alabama 3 named a track after Sister Rosetta on their debut album Exile on Cold Harbor Lane, as well as recording a version of her song Up Above My Head. In 2007, UK indie rock band The Noisettes released the single Sister Rosetta from their album What's the Time Mr. Wolf? Also in 2007, singers Alison Krauss and Robert Plant recorded a duet version of the song Sister Rosetta Goes Before Us, written by Sam Phillips. Phillips released her version of the song on her 2008 album, Don't Do Anything. Michelle Shocked opened her live gospel album To Heaven You Ride with Strange Things Happening Every Day, along with a tribute to Tharpe. In 2001, the French film Armor Copyright Law included a scene showing the protagonist's housebound neighbor mesmerized by a montage of video clips which featured a performance of Up Above My Head by Tharpe. In 2014 the Canadian film Far Copyright Licks A Mirror included about 1 minute of Tharpe singing Didn't It Rain from the video of Tharpe's 1964 concert at the Wilbraham Road railway station. Discography Albums The Lonesome Road Decca 224, Blessed Assurance, Wedding Ceremony of Sister Rosetta Tharpe and Russell Morrison Decca Da 903, Gospel Train, Famous Negro Spirituals and Gospel Songs, Sister Rosetta Tharpe MGME 3821, Sister Rosetta Tharpe Omega OSL 31, Gospels in Rhythm, Live in 1960, The Gospel Truth with the Bally Jenkins Singers, Sister Rosetta Tharpe Crown LP 5236, Sister on Tour, Live in Paris, Live at the Hot Club de France, Negro Gospel Sister Rosetta Tharpe and the Hot Gospel Tabernacle Choir and Players. Precious Memories Savoy 14214, Singing in My Soul Savoy 14224, the complete works of Sister Rosetta Tharpe up to 1961 were issued as 7 double CD box sets by the renowned French label Fra Copyright Man and Associate Copyright S. Chart singles Tributes Shout, Sister, Shout, a tribute to Sister Rosetta Tharpe. References Bibliography Boyer, Horace Clarence. How Sweet the Sound, The Golden Age of Gospel. Elliott and Clark. ISBN 0-252-06877-7. Heilbert, Tony. The Gospel Sound, Good News and Bad Times. Limelight Editions. ISBN 0-87910-034-6. Wald, Gail. From Spirituals to Swing, Sister Rosetta Tharpe and Gospel Crossover. American Quarterly 55, 387 Euro 416. Wald, Gail. Shout, Sister, Shout. The Untold Story of Rock and Roll Trailblazer Sister Rosetta Tharpe. Beacon Press. ISBN 0-8070-0984-9. White, Charles. The Life and Times of Little Richard, the Authorized Biography. Omnibus Press. Pages 17. External links, Discography. Sister Rosetta Tharpe at the Internet Movie Database. Sister Rosetta Tharpe, the Godmother of Rock and Roll, PBS American Masters, January 9, 2013. The Gospel of Sister Rosetta Tharpe, National Public Radio's All Things Considered radio show, includes Ross Reynolds of NPR affiliate KEXP in the Museum Experience Music Project, January 17, 2004. Interview with Tharpe biographer Gail F. Wald, from Will AM Radio, February 22, 2007. Sister Rosetta Tharpe, Etched in Stone at Last, National Public Radio's All Things Considered radio show, March 20, 2009. Pop Music, To the Best of Our Knowledge radio show by Wisconsin Public Radio, an episode that focused upon popular music and its influences with an interview of Gail F. Wald about her book Shout, Sister, Shout. The Untold Story of Rock and Roll Trailblazer Sister Rosetta Tharpe, April 1, 2007 and rebroadcast on March 24, 2008. Premier Guitar Forgotten Heroes, Sister Rosetta Tharpe,